Hi, everybody. This is Cassie. Sorry, my mic's like in the way. Maybe that's a better spot. Anyway, hi, it's Cassie, and welcome back to Crowd Chat. Today I have on the show Jay Cormier from Off the Page Games and from multiple designs. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on. I'm excited to have you on the show because while you have a background in designing, you just started publishing, and you also had your first Kickstarter that you launched that it did pretty good, but it wasn't for a game. So I'm excited for you to talk about how you got over 1,300 backers. Yeah, for Fail Faster. Yeah, for your Fail Faster. See, that one's a tongue twister. Journal.
Yeah, that's right.
So, why don't you just talk a little bit about yourself and your design, and then how you decided to start the journal?
Sure. Yeah, so you might know me, for those watching and listening, from designing games. Most of them, so far, I've been with my design partner, Senfeng Lim. We designed Belfort, Akrotiri, Junk Art, behind me here, Rock Paper Wizard. That was also with Josh Capel, and numerous other ones. And then this year, actually, on Kickstarter with a different partner, Graham Johns, I did In the Hall of the Mountain King, which did very well on Kickstarter. So then I was doing a big event here in town with just my local game design friends, and it was 2 weeks before a big game convention, and I wanted to get a lot of playtests of my games done. So I invited everyone to come out with the excuse that it was my birthday. Come on out, everybody. Play test my games. And so because I was inviting them all out, and I kind of wanted to make sure all my games were tested, I obviously bought food for everybody. But then I thought, I want to give them something else. I don't know why. I just thought like a little goodie bag. But for game designers, what's a goodie bag? And I kind of came up with this idea of like a game design journal, because on the side, I also teach game design at the Vancouver Film School.
Oh, okay.
And part of the thing that they have to fill in, they have to show their work, as all teachers require, and they have to actually fill out a little playtest form. And from that, I thought, oh, maybe I could make that a little bit more useful. And so I actually made it, and I just kind of made a real crappy version of it here and printed it myself, and no graphic design, and just kind of, and this is one that's actually been used and loved by me. And everybody loved it. Like, everyone loved it, and they said, this is fantastic, and people were asking for more copies of it, and it made me think, I'm like, maybe there's something to this. And so, yeah, so I actually hired a graphic designer, walked through the whole thing, collaborated, made it even better, came up with a lot of new features, fold-out boards and everything with tons of tools and everything, but the meat of it is playtest notes, so that you can actually, it kind of guides you on all the notes you have to take in order to become a better playtester. So there's a reason why every single thing is in its place, including a lot of cool little tools. Like in the bottom of every corner, there's random die rolls, so you can flip to any page to get a die result, which is kind of neat.
Pretty cool.
So there's a lot of cool tools. Yeah. And even on the back, there's a fold-out scoreboard, so that if you forgot your scoreboard, you still use a scoreboard, and it folds out so that you can continue to use your take notes while you have a scoreboard out. And you might have saw the last cool thing I'll talk about is the fact that it has these stickers. This was actually one of the stretch goals that was unlocked by the backers of the Kickstarter, and I kind of gamified the whole process of playtesting. And so as you do all of these different 10 different behaviors that will make you a better playtester, eventually you'll get to one of these badges. And when you get to one of these badges, you get to take a sticker and you get to place it on the cover and kind of show off how awesome of a playtester and designer you are.
That's so fun. I love it. I love stickers. I'm just like, I'm not even going to get into it. I have a huge sticker album right next to me, but
Thanks.
That's really cool. So was this your first, I guess, project where you were in charge of the whole business side of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I had many games go on Kickstarter, and not all succeed, but many that went on Kickstarter by other publishers. And this was the first time I'm like, yeah, it's just a book. There's not a ton of components. There's one thing. I made sure that there was no stretch goal, that it was like you get more, actual like stickers or extra things that weren't like pens and, other things. I didn't want to deal with different SKUs and all this kind of stuff. Just a book. And yeah, it worked out really well.
Now, you did do something really neat that I think helped with. I know I'm really excited to talk about it, but I want to talk about how you brought the crowd in. But there's one thing you did specifically that was really cool with your campaign, and that was how you had badges and you let the backers get really involved with the project and vote on different things. And so I'm really curious about how, I think that was just like one of the coolest things, because I was a backer of the journal, and I loved having fun picking and choosing, and I really felt like I was a part of the project. And I'm curious where you came up with that idea.
Well, like many Kickstarter runners, organizers, whatever it's called, I've read every one of Jamie Stegmaier's blogs, and there was one about doing funky things and having getting your crowd engaged in some ways. And it made me think of how I gamified the journal, and really to stay on brand, I thought, well, I wonder if there's a way I could gamify the stretch goals in here. And so instead of just doing stretch goals like, normal, where it's like you hit this amount, you get this, you hit this amount, you get this, I did this thing where there's many different progress bars. Total funding, as that goes up every single night while this campaign was live, I would update the graphic to show how far we've gone along, and every kind of badge that we would earn if we did it. A percentage of funding goal was another one. Total backers, so these are cumulative badges. But then I just kind of keep the spikes going. I had single day badges. So if in funding in a single day, if we got up to $1,000 in a single day, boom, we'd get a badge. If we got up to $4,000 a day, we'd get a badge. And so there's all these other ways we could get badge, including responding to a poll. How many people responded to a poll? If we got that number up, we'd get another badge just from responding to polls. So it had nothing to do with me making more money from selling more journals. It was just from engaging the crowd. And so I thought, what do I do with these badges? I'll put up certain stretch goals and put a cost in badge form of how much these extra stretch goal features cost according to the cost I got from the manufacturer. So some cost very few.
While you're talking, I'm going to show the Kickstarter page here. Oop. Let's see.
Yeah, some cost really a little amount, and some cost a lot of. And every time we hit an amount that would one of these stretch goals with the badges, I would put out a poll, and anybody who was a backer could vote on this poll. And basically the question was, do you want to spend the badges right now to get, for example, the elastic? So you spend 5 badges and get an elastic, or do you want to save them and then we'll use them for something bigger down the road? And to my surprise, I had no idea, but everybody kept saving them and saving them, and the very first thing that was unlocked was the stickers. And I was a little bit worried because that was the most expensive thing by far, and normally this would have been a really high stretch goal that I would have preferred was unlocked later.
Okay.
But this was what the people wanted, and unfortunately it did, I don't know, 540 something percent to the target, so it was all great. But that was definitely a tricky thing, that if you're going to do this, you better be prepared, because I had no idea what this journal was going to look like by the end. So it ended up getting more pages, the stickers, and then a few other things like 1 month free subscription to the Component Studio from the Game Crafter, and a blind playtest feedback form was unlocked as well. And that was due to it was a free stretch goal based on something else.
Okay, so that's really cool. So I like people having the engagement, and that, I guess, like you said, you gamified pretty much everything. So every time anyone participated, like, if you're voting on badges, and it is kind of like how many more points am I going to get if I save the badges? Like, what's the utility I'm going to get, from getting stickers versus another different page. So that's just go ahead.
Yeah, I would say if I were to do it again, the one thing I would change would be that so if they saved it, then we'd unlock, say, 7, and then now a thicker cover is available, and then I'd allow a vote. And I kept including the previous one. Do you want elastic? Do you want a thicker paper? Or do you want to save it? And I think I would not include anything that was passed over, because you passed it. You said no to the elastic, and so that means you can't get it now until we get something else and then come back to it. And because it just made sense really from the strategy perspective. Yeah, just go all the way to the end, because at the last time I asked the question, it was pretty much, what do you want? You could have anything. But they got the stickers, obviously. But I think that would be a cleaner way to do it. It's just like, once you pass it and you say no to it, we can't get it until you get something else and earn enough badges to then get it again, I guess.
Okay. So kind of like make them more difficult to achieve as they're saying no to...
Make it a certain urgency. I think it lacked some urgency. It was like, we'll get elastic later.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So how did you get 1,300 plus backers to your project? I mean, this was your first project, and I'm really curious to learn how you found 1,300 people. I think that's fantastic.
I some of it, I imagine, is my network of just people and game designers that I know. Mm-hmm. And then I think if you scroll up to the page, there's the what are people saying. So I didn't have the ability to send this out to review sites to, hey, review this and have a video, all this kind of stuff. There's nobody that would review this. So instead, I sent it to, I don't know, the biggest game designer names I knew of that had some connection to me, or I could at least have met in the past, could chat with them, and send it to. I just said, hey, can I? And this was way back, like, I don't know, 3 months before it launched. I said, can I send this to you? No obligation. I just want to send it to you. If to be totally transparent, if you want to provide a quote for my Kickstarter page because you like it, that's totally cool, but you don't have to. I just want to send this to you. And everybody, I didn't even have to like pull it from them. Everybody was super excited. Stagmeyer especially, he did a special video segment just on it, how excited he was, because I sent him a sample of it, and he was going through it on his video. So like John Gilmore, Philip Walker Harding, like all these, Matt Leacock, everybody said really nice things about it. So I think that really right near the top, I put it, if you kind of see it, pretty close to the top, you can see all these people. These are saying amazing things about it. I think that would convince a lot of people, like, oh, I guess I should try this. And then the only other thing I did was I did a lot of, as much as I could, because as I'm sure many people are, I'm a one-man band. I don't have like a social media manager or something like that. Though I did have some help from some people from time to time. I did a bunch of these like ads that I would put up on all the different social medias that would say problem number 36 solved by the Fail Faster Journal, and would have a picture of something and how the journal solves that game designer problem.
Ooh, so it's almost like here's a puzzle and the answer to the puzzle.
Yeah. And they're all eluding me right now, but I made about 12 or 13 of them, and so I would just kind of keep cycling them through before the campaign and during the campaign, just as a method of like trying. And then I was engaging with one specific Facebook group where every day I put a question out there about how do you do this, and initially I was linking to the Kickstarter, but then I was told that was a no-no. And so in the specific Facebook group, I'm like, oh, that's right, I didn't mean to. But I still kept at least engaging with the crowd out there. In this case was a Facebook group, and just talking about playtesting and what do you do in this case when nobody's giving you feedback? What do you do? And then just kind of generate conversation around that. So it was just mostly being out there, and I think in the end, I was lucky that this was such a unique product that no one has ever kind of seen before. And so sometimes being first to market, you have a little bit of a leg up of like, wow, this is kind of neat. So
yeah, definitely. It's a very neat, like just the whole campaign itself was, I think, pretty unique the way it was structured. And like you said, how you gamified everything.
I try, and one other thing I did, you're not allowed to do contests on Kickstarter. So I did a contest through other social media things where if you can get a free through the whole thing, and even currently you can go to the site and get a free sample, like 5 pages of the journal. I said, if you can post on any social media thing and tag me in it about you using the sample, and whatever way you want, just like I used it and it was great that this happened or whatever. Even if it wasn't great, just I used it and blah, 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 and you post, or every week I had a new draw for 3, you could win 3 copies of the journal. Yeah.
That's pretty great. Do you think that would translate into like let's say you did something like a print and play for a game? Do you think that could translate like, hey, take photos of you playing the game? I'm just thinking how it would translate for gaming.
Yeah.
And well, now that you're doing
Yeah.
publishing, do you have anything that's starting to translate from what you did with the journal to how you're marketing for publishing?
I mean, some of the timing has helped out. I'm so fortunate. I guess I should knock on wood, but literally the journals are, I just got a call today that journals are coming tomorrow to my house and for Canada. And then the Fun Again is my fulfillment partner in the States. And I paid the customs and they received it. They emailed me yesterday that they received the customs. So everything's happening. And I initially said that it's going to get delivered in October, and Fun Again has agreed and signed up. Like, yeah, that's no problem. We get everything shipped out so everyone should get it by the timing, which is great. So that timing helped me when I was planning the Off the Page Games, my new publishing company, about how far you have to backtrack to do everything. Like I had to backtrack, as I told you, 3 months to get this journal out so that people could use it, especially as a journal. You have to, well, even a game, nobody's just going to receive a game, review it, and then review it within the next week. Like they need time to figure it out, read it, and get a plan going together. So that part was definitely carried over. Another thing that I did is that I'm trying to get to as many conventions as possible. I think for board games, you have to do some organic things that cost a bit of money because you have to get out there. And what I'm trying to do is, so I got a couple of banners made up so that at least it looks professional. And I got the artist this is based on a comic book, and it's the creator is doing all original art for this.
Oh,
and so
cool.
So it's super great. He did the art for the cover, which is on the banner, which looks super awesome. I think the cover's amazing. It looks like this.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That's kind of the cover, in a different shape, but that's the cover. And so what kind of new, kind of cool thing I'm trying to do this. Mind management is very mindy and very manipulated and psychic-y type stuff. And so this is a postcard you get if you go to any demo where this is playing at any convention. You get this postcard. It's got a pretty art on it. It's got information about the Kickstarter. But then I'm not going to exactly tell you how, but there's some weird things going around the edges of this. And it says right there, if you hang on to this postcard, this will actually provide you some in-game benefits once the game is released. So this will actually give you some benefit in the game to an actual extra something in the game. That if you don't have it, you don't get it.
So it's kind of like a promo ahead of the game promo.
Yep.
That's excellent. Some people had questions that I wanted to make sure we addressed before I let you go, and then go more into. I want to learn more about what you're doing with Off the Page Games. Let's see. So the first question is: did you make this journal for the money, or it sounds like
always do it for the money? No,
it sounds like it was mostly a passion.
It was, and it was like I put the target at 7,000 Canadian because I'm like, is anybody going to be interested in this? Is this just a weird thing? Like I literally had no idea, and I was spending money up front getting the video made. It had a really nice looking video and sending out all this stuff. It was a couple grand in the hole just before anything started. So I'm like, well, I hope I get something out of this. And so yeah, it's just cool. Obviously, anytime you have something that you create is now out in the world is pretty awesome.
I've noticed that tends to be like after you start getting the ball rolling and turning it into like the publishing and things like that, then maybe it becomes less about the passion and more about the money. But I think starting with something like you made it, it's a journal and it's something that you started with as a gift for people, I think that had the passion behind it already.
Yeah, I am though looking at extending the line of the brand of Fail Faster. And so my next project that I'm maybe halfway through is I'm creating a game design workbook. And so it's kind of like a textbook mixed in with a workbook that'll teach you how to design games from scratch. all the way through to pitching and publishing your game.
That's excellent. Is that going to be so? Are you going to take Fail Faster and kind of like umbrella it under Off the Page Games?
I had a decision when it came to Off the Page what to do, because the quick story of that was we had the game Mind Management. It was pitched to a publisher. They signed it. We had a contract. Everything's great. That publisher went under and they don't exist anymore. So we got the rights back and we're sitting there. What do we do with it? And it was actually the artist, the creator of the comic. He's like, why don't we just do it ourselves? I'll do all the art. I'm also a graphic designer. I'll do that. And you publish it. I'm like, So when I was like thinking about doing that, I'm like, well, what do I call it? I thought for a sec, like, do I call it Fail Faster as a publishing company? Because I already have that brand. But I'm like, that doesn't feel right for a board game company name, Fail Faster. It feels right for a playtesting journal, but a whole company. So then I'm
Right.
like, then I got to do I got to call myself something else. And like, then I had the idea that I wasn't really sold on doing it because there's too many company publishers out there where their motto or their like goal is we make great games. And I didn't want to be another one of those. So I wanted to hang my hat on something. And what I decided to do, because this was based on a comic book, I said, okay, well, then I'm going to make all my games are going to be based off of comic books, preferably creator-owned comic books. That's going to be my kind of goal. So that's all I'm going to publish. And so that got me excited because that's a little selfish of me. I'll be able to kind of network and work with all these cool comic book creators that I love. So like Matt Kint, who did my management, is one of my heroes. I literally have 2 pieces of his art hanging in my room prior to ever having a business with him. So that's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's an interesting. I didn't realize that you were going to, just like the path that Fail Faster Journal kind of like led you into, and then into Off to Page Games, and then how the comic, I knew that the cover of the Mind MGMT was very comic-y, and this is a comic, right? Yeah.
Yeah. 36 issues.
Okay,
yeah.
I was gonna say it was very, very familiar to me. So, are you? Besides reading about, reading everything and being very interactive, and do you have anything that you're not ready for, or I guess the way to ask it is anything that you think you're ready for, but you might be caught off guard by? There was a question someone asked similar like that.
It's still going to be more of the logisticy side of things. And so I've got a bunch of friends that are like Helena Capel, who runs Burnt Island Games and Kids Table Board Games. And so I'm always bugging her with like, what do you do in this case? Or how does this work? And blah, 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 blah. And she's super awesome and it's very helpful. And that's great. So it's great to have a friend that is a publisher to answer some of those questions. But yeah, a lot of the logistics stuff, especially shipping, is hated, and dealing with imports and tariffs and taxes and VAT and all this stuff. It's really complicated, and I still, even though after all this, I'm still not super confident about how to do it all.
I don't think any of us are totally confident. We might look like it.
Yeah, I guess it would probably cost more, but I just want like a one-stop somebody to just handle it all. But it never feels like there is going to be that, because you're dealing with your manufacturer. So I'd like somebody to contact the manufacturer, figure out how to get it to a boat, figure out how to get it to York Port, figure out how to get it to the customers, like just take care of it all.
The logistics individual.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a big market for that actually in the industry.
Right. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of companies that claim they do a lot, but I find myself just trying to figure it all out. Like, even from the perspective of preparing my Kickstarter page, what do I say? How much are the things cost? That was a lot of work for me to try to pull from all sorts. Like, what do I charge people? Like, it was very confusing, and I didn't like it.
A lot of math.
Yeah, and you have to hedge your bets, and it's like there's 2 ways to do it. About like, do you charge during the campaign or after the campaign, and all this kind of stuff. It's just confusing.
It is. It gets to be, well, at least you have, if you have somebody that you're able to reach out to, definitely do it. But you mentioned earlier interacting a lot in the Facebook groups, and I think that's a good place too if you're having questions about just publishing in general, like logistics and stuff like that. It's definitely a good place to start collecting data. I don't know how much of that kind of information is on Jamie's website, and I know also James Mace's website has a lot of information.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. There's one of my favorite Facebook groups is a tabletop publisher Facebook group, and everyone's there just asking each other questions, same kind of stuff, and so it's great. It's a great resource.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I'm glad we got to discuss. I was very excited to discuss the badge stuff, because that was just a very exciting thing for me when I was
glad.
Yeah, when I was participating, and I was like, "What is this? I need to incorporate this in all my Kickstarters." But is there anything? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, just on that, I did a poll after the end of the Fail Faster and asked some questions. And one was, how well did you understand how the stretch goals worked? And about 87%, is it 87? No, about 77% said that they agreed or really agreed. I gave it a 4 or 5 out of 5. So there's still about 23% that didn't really get it. And that's fine because I think some people just like, oh, cool journal, I'll just back it, and then kind of checked out and maybe didn't even participate, which is fine. But I think it's pretty great to get 83%, 73% totally engaged and understanding how it works. So that's cool. And what was it? Did you like how the stretch goals were implemented in this campaign? 44% said yes, they were really cool, and 25% said yes, and I'd love to see more campaigns offer this style of stretch goals.
Cool.
And
that's a whole quarter
so
of the people that want more of that.
More of that, yeah. And then I thought this was cool, unrelated, but how long have you been designing board games? And it's pretty interesting that over 40% of people that backed it have never designed a game before.
Well, that's great because that's the whole point, right? Is to get people to make games, and so that's actually really exciting. I'm hoping I've made one single game, so I am looking forward to using the journals to expand my one single library of game.
And the journal will be available very shortly on the Game Crafter to buy as a physical copy, or you can buy the PDF currently still on failfaster.ca.
Excellent. Oh, I did want to mention on your website, so I'm going to just show people real quick before I let you go. So here's Off the Page Games. If anyone wants to take a look and find out more about Mind MGMT, there's a little bit of information here and about the website. And then also here is where you can find the Fail Faster Playtesting Journal, the PDF, because you said it's not available yet to purchase the physical thing, but here's the PDF. And
that leads me to one more thing about what I did real quick about trying to get more audience. I try to increase my email subscribers. And so for Fail Faster, I said, if you sign up for Fail Faster, I wrote a 16-page e-guide, ebook on how to make your own sales sheets for board games.
Oh.
I claim, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I claim to be the inventor of sales sheets for board games in the sense that back when I designed it, I'd never seen one before. And then, so Sen and I were like, let's make something up when we go to these conventions and we can show people this thing. That's what I kind of, from my day job, vendors would always have these spec sheets of stuff. So I kind of thought that would be a neat thing to have. And so I go through examples, give you 5 examples of ones I've used of all games that end up being published. And so you can get that for free by signing up for failfaster.ca. And giving up free, if you sign up for that mailing list, is a decoder. And there will be some in-game content and messaging that you need the decoder in order to. And it's not a simple decoder. It's like about 3 different decoders built into that one.
Really, that's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
See, like turning everything into a game. I love it. So that's actually a really interesting idea to have if you sign up for a email list, because I've been told and I've heard from other guests before just how important having email lists, because people read their emails. People do, and if you have something that you're offering just to get an email is gold, and that's a great idea. I haven't heard of. I mean, I've heard of that before, but not in the game industry, especially not for a Kickstarter.
Right.
Okay, so I think. I wanted to ask. You have on the Fail Faster Playtesting Journal site, you do game sessions. So if, it's game session kind of work with people. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I did one already, and there's a couple more signed up. But that's just an opportunity. Sometimes you don't have anyone to reach out to. Maybe you don't have your own group. You don't have other designers to chat with. Here's a way you can sign up, and I'll sit down virtually with you over something like this, Skype or whatever, and go through either playtest your game with you if we can online, or read your rule books with you, or just chat and figure out some solutions to your challenges you're having.
Okay. Cool. I wanted to make sure that was the thing because I wanted to show. I just showed it real quick. Where it is. It's like underneath the PDF for the Fail Faster Journal. So if anyone has questions or wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way that they can reach you? I
would say it's on either of those websites. There's going to be contact information, failfaster.ca or offthepagegames.com, or Jay at offthepagegames.com.
Okay, that's pretty easy. But I want to make sure that I don't leave you with any questions that I didn't touch. Let's see. So we talked about that. I think we're all set. I think we talked about a lot of cool stuff. I don't want to keep you crazy long. Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show, Jay, and for talking
Thank you.
about your journal, talking about Mind MGMT. Is it mind management or is it?
It's pronounced
It is
management. Yeah, mind
Okay.
management. Yeah.
Every time I would see that comic, I would think, is that MGMT?
Yeah. I think that's a band, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah, and I always think the same.
Yeah.
Are they MGMT or are they management? I don't know.
Yeah, true.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your information about your Kickstarter. And best
Thank
of
you.
luck with everything you do with Off the Page Games and your future designs. I'm hoping you're not stopping designing as you publish.
Oh, tons more coming out. Tons more.
Excellent. All right. Just so everybody that's watching Crowd Chat knows, next week we're going to be back on Monday at 7 o'clock. I'm going to have Laura Irwin on the show. She is going to be launching a game on the Game Crafters crowd sale page for a game called Potions, Please. And I'm going to have her come on the show just to talk about what she's been doing to grow her crowd and get some marketing going. So that'll be next Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern. And that's pretty much all I have for today. So again, Jay, thanks for being on the show. Everybody, thanks for coming to watch. And this is Cassie and Jay signing out for Crowd Chat.